Okay.
Okay. So I'm Asheka. Today's session following the keynote speaker is mine, the assessment for learning. And thank you very much for everybody to attend this session. Let me introduce myself. I'm Asheka Tenzin, the academic director at DY Patil Group of Schools. I have been in education for the last 30 years and in the IB, specifically IB MYP for the past 20 years. In addition to being a science educator, I am also an IBAN member. So I do visit schools for evaluation and verification. I'm a consultant and I also am an online workshop facilitator. So this is about me. Let's go to the objectives of today's session. There are three main objectives of today's session. The first one being how you can use formative assessment as a tool to improve instruction and student learning. Along with this objective, I will also share with you some practical strategies for implementing assessment for learning. In addition to this, I will also make use of certain visual thinking routines. So you may use these visual thinking routines in your classes. And we will be sharing experiences and best practices during this session. So it is going to be an interactive session. So let's have an icebreaker. I request you to go to this particular QR code and go to menti.com. After you log in, there are a couple of questions. We want to know what is your name, where are you from, which city are you from, and what is your passion?
Could you please post link for Menti in the chat? It will be easy for us to navigate them.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Here, here's the link. So yeah, I have Kalyani, I have Sitan and Hima, Rebecca, Tia. So I know Priya is from Pune. Abha. And I have also asked what are the curriculum that you teach. So I have PYP, CBSE. Rebecca. Sitan, if you can help me mute the people.
I'm not able to go to another slide. It's just showing me I have taught that curriculum. That's it.
Yeah. That only. And it's on my screen.
Acha, okay. But I'm not able to put in my there then.
Oh, okay.
I put in words, I couldn't change the name, but then after submitting it saying the presenter has not changed the slide. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because it's
No, but my response is registered, not there, no?
yeah. Wait.
Actually, if you go back to the same link, you will be able to access to the slide number 1. Under slide number 1, actually there were 3 boxes.
Questions.
Yeah, there were 3 boxes: enter a word, enter another word, and enter another word, like that. So you had to put in your name, your place, your location, and the curriculum. So under that only you had the 3 boxes. So you can go back and then you can put in the other details.
Okay, so I have a gist of all the people who are here. So most of them, I'm seeing that you are teaching either MYP, the IB curriculum, or there are a couple who are teaching Cambridge and the CBSE curriculum. So thank you so much for uh, doing this icebreaker activity. So this particular menti.com, you can use it in your class also for doing specific icebreaker activities with your students. I use it for my presentations when I want to know different people who are there in the group to know more about them. Yeah. Now, to my session uh, about assessment for learning. My question to you is, what is assessment for learning? When you read this particular question, then what are the three words that come to your mind? And please share two questions that you have about assessment for learning and one sentence to summarize assessment for learning. This I would want you to do on this particular sheet. There is access for entering text and writing your answers. Okay, so the three questions are: identify three words that come to your mind when you think about assessment for learning. Two questions that you have about assessment for learning, and summarize one sentence for the phrase assessment for learning. You have 2 minutes for this, and let me show the responses. And because this is a draw sheet, okay, you will have to put in your name also. Otherwise, I will not be able to see what your names are. I can see your responses. So someone has written ongoing, reflective, informative. The three words, in the three words, I can see only one word. Somebody's typing, okay. Three words: exit slip, concept check, muddy point. Tanu says that assessment for learning is the two words that comes to her mind is ongoing, reflective, providing feedback to guide learning. Opportunity, reflection, and growth are the three words that come to the mind for this particular participant. Kalyani says three words that come to her mind is exit slip, concept check, and muddy point. So Kalyani writes about the different strategies that you can use. Okay, so these are the names of strategies that you can use. For teachers, for improvements and feedback, okay? Feedback, student involvement, addressing gaps. Thank you. Informative, diagnostic, developmental. Exam, marks, reports. Assessment for learning is not about exam, not about marks, but reports maybe. I would consider report as one term that comes to my mind when I say assessment for learning. But reports, when I say, I'm not talking about report card. How can it help identify learners' needs? How can we ensure all assessment is valuable for learning? How can we keep track of student progress, especially in EYP, PYP? Okay, so these are the questions that you want to be answered. Assessment for learning is offering students that chance to see assessment as an opportunity for growth and discover. Okay, so thank you for your responses. And I can see that some people have good understanding of what it means, and some people have some understanding of what it means. So let us go to the definition of what assessment for learning is. So assessment for learning, it is a continuous process. And during this process, we gather a lot of information about student learning. And this information that we gather, we will use it to inform our instruction and empower our learners. Okay, so that's the actual definition of assessment for learning. Continuous process where teachers will gather information about what students are learning. And from that information, you will inform your instruction, and you will redo or recreate your instructional activities. Okay. Now, during assessment for learning, what happens is we use a lot of assessment data. And this data will help us to identify what are the students' strengths, what are the students' weaknesses, and what are the misconceptions that they have. And after we get to know this, we will adjust our teaching strategies so that we will meet their needs. Okay, so this is what assessment for learning is. Now, there are many, according to Dylan William, there are 5 different strategies that you can use for formative assessments, for assessing students' learning. So the first strategy is clarifying learning intentions and success criteria. So now I will be using a visual thinking routine called as See, Think, Wonder. When I show you a particular PNG image, you will read through it and you will try to identify the learning intentions in that particular image. And you will also identify the success criteria. Now, after identifying the learning intention and the success criteria, you will think about how having clear learning intention and success criteria contribute to student understanding. And then I would want you to share any questions that you have about creating clear learning intentions and success criteria. So for this, for the first task, okay, where you have to see and identify the learning intention and success criteria, I want you to see this particular sheet. I have shared it on my Zoom screen. Okay, so this is about writing a book review, and it is for grade 6 students. Okay, the learning outcomes for writing a book review are, we are looking at oral language, we are looking at reading, and we are looking at writing. So these are all the learning outcomes that we are looking at after we have finished this particular lesson or the task that is given to the student. Now, if you see below the learning outcomes, you have the learning intention. Please read it carefully. Following learning intention, I have the task. What is the task? It is a reading project for first-year students. And this particular project will run for 6 to 8 weeks. Students will read from a list of prescribed books. They are organized in reading groups, and each group agrees the book to be read, and reading takes place in class and at home. 4 books are read in total by each group. At the end of the group work, the individual students choose a book that they enjoyed and they will write a review. The review can be included in a student's portfolio of writing and can also be used as the basis for an oral presentation. So this is the task that will go on for 6 to 8 weeks. This is a task, summative assessment, okay, that will happen. And the success criteria is given. Now, when you look at success criteria, what does it remind you of? If anybody can unmute yourself and talk about it. When you read the success criteria, what does it remind you of? Anyone?
So, ma'am, success criteria
Yes.
is the essential which is required for this task to be successful. What all students need to know and demonstrate if they have attempted the task correctly.
What,
So it's
okay, what will you call it in your PYP language when this task is given? What will be the success criteria? What does it mean? What will you give to the student?
The rubrics, I mean, the
Yeah.
checklist.
Thank you,
Yes.
Tanu. Yeah, I was waiting for that answer. It is either a checklist or a rubric that you're going to give to your students. So when you go to this presentation, okay, you have identified the learning intention. So what do you think is a learning intention? What do you think is a learning intention here?
Learning intention is basically the target you are wanting them to reach, and success
Thank you.
criteria is how are you going to reach over there? Is
The
your suc-
rubric.
is a
Correct.
is how
Right.
you make it successful to reach that.
Right. Right. So the learning intention is just a statement that is used in order to summarize your learning outcomes. At the end of this particular project, what are you wanting the students to do? So what will they do during this activity, during this project? They will learn to read books for enjoyment, and we will express that enjoyment through a well-structured review of a chosen book. So they will review a book, okay? And the success criteria is your rubric or checklist, okay? Thank you so much. Now, what do you wonder? Do you have any questions that you have about creating clear learning intentions and success criteria?
Sometimes
That
we
is the next sheet. You can type over there. Are learning intentions and success criteria supposed to be used for all FAs? Not necessary, because it is one of the strategy. When I started off with my presentation, I said that Dylan William has given 5 strategies for formative assessment. This is one of the strategies. Okay. How to make success criteria more student friendly? It has to be in their own words. So you can say, I can. If you look at this presentation also, it's written in student friendly language. I show a good knowledge of the book. I convey my enthusiasm for the test, or show clearly the parts I don't like. I express my ideas fluently and choose the right words and phrases most of the time. My writing is accurate and correct spelling, with correct spelling and grammar. So this is in student language, right? So if you are in the PYP, you can see the I can statements. You can use the I can statements. Okay, Kalyani, we will talk about this, about task specific clarifications. Could we use the I can statements? Yes, you can use the I can statements. All right. Now to my next slide. Here
Miss Ashika,
are
sorry.
the strategies.
Miss
Yes.
Ashika, I had one question. So can
Hmm.
students also be involved while making
Yes.
success
You
criteria and
can.
learning
You can
intentions?
involve. Yes,
Okay.
you can involve. Learning intentions may not, because you have your certain learning objectives
Okay.
and learning outcomes in place, but the success criteria you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So for clarifying learning intentions, what you need to do, you need to write your learning outcomes or learning objectives on the board, so that it is very clear to the students. So what will happen is, you will make the learning intention and success criteria clear to the students and help them to understand what they mean. So if you write it in their own language, in student friendly language, it is clear to them. Another strategy that you can use is, you can share exemplar student work. You can show that, okay, this is a work sample. This is what an 8 to 8, 8 upon 8 looks like. And this is how you write. So when you share student exemplar work, then they know that what is expected of them to do. Now, for example, I did this in my grade 6 science class, when I had given them an assignment where they had to create a poster, organ wanted poster. So I had asked them, you can choose any organ that can be donated. Okay. And you create an organ wanted poster. Now, when I'm saying that, they will not know what to put in that poster. So what I did was, I had given them an exemplar on heart. This is organ wanted poster for heart. These are the things that I want. And then they had a clear idea of what an organ wanted poster looks like, and what is expected of me in that particular task that I want the student to do. Okay. So this is the way by which you can clarify learning intentions and success criteria. This is one strategy for assessment for learning, to know whether the students have understood what you are asking them to do. Okay. Now, second strategy is to elicit evidence of student learning. Now, how will you know that student have learned? So for this, okay, I want you to think about this particular scenario. When you want to check for understanding to move on with the lesson, how many of you call on one student who has a raised hand? Okay, be honest and think about it. And if that student gets the correct question, the question correct, how many of you move on? I want you to discuss it here about what is the problem with this method of checking for understanding.
On the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So how many of you ask a question, and when one person understands and gets it right, then you move on with your teaching learning? Okay, everybody's understood. Let's go on. We have to finish the portion. We might miss on the one who hasn't understood, right? This means one person gets it, not everyone, right, Rebecca? So then, what are the different strategies that you will use to find out, okay, or to elicit evidence of student learning? If this is not the right strategy, then what are the strategies that you will know? Cold call, okay, okay.
You can have
Exit slip,
exits. Yeah.
okay,
Clear sharing at times.
okay. Traffic signals,
At times, ma'am, we have to have quick strategies, like somebody said, traffic signals or thumbs up, thumbs down. So that helps,
okay.
because we are
Okay,
getting
so-
only one child's perspective rather than knowing everyone.
So let me share some strategies here. What you can do is random calling. Okay. Now, when you use random calling, it's not that I just see and I say, okay, Hina, okay, Tanu, okay, Abha. It's not like that. What I will do is I will use the popsicle stick method. Okay. Now, in the popsicle stick method, what I will do is I will write all the student names on the stick. And then at the beginning of the lesson, I will give the instruction that students, I will explain something, and then I will ask you questions about it. And these questions will be asked to anyone. I don't know whom I'm going to ask, because I'm going to use this random calling method using the popsicle stick. So now, what are two advantages of this? Tell me.
Everyone
Random
will be
calling?
alert. Everyone will be alert because they don't know whether the teacher is going to ask me or not. So I need to concentrate and listen. Maybe it's my bad luck. My name will come.
Shabash, Chitan. Yeah. So everybody will be alert, okay, and they will pay attention to your instruction. Yeah, because I don't know whose name will come out. Okay. Secondly, okay, there will be no reason for bad classroom behavior. Why? Because everybody is engaged. So you don't have to think about classroom management technique, because here the students are already engaged, right? Because you have said that, okay, random calling, you don't know who will be asked. And then another thing is that you are giving chance for everybody to answer. Now, what will also happen is that, suppose I have asked a question, I have removed a popsicle stick, I have asked question to Chitan, okay? What will I do after that? Will I keep the stick outside, or should I put the stick back into the can
Outside.
where I have kept the other sticks?
Outside.
Outside.
I think differently. Ideally, you can keep the stick inside, and so that the child doesn't feel that I've been asked once and I'm free. And you can always pick something else. So that strategy we can always take care of.
So then if I'm going to keep outside, if I'm the student, I'll say, now my question is done. I will not be asked. So I can go and I cannot pay attention, and I can fool around. Okay. So you can choose to not, okay, put it outside or put it in or keep it outside. You decide best. But I'm saying that if I'm going to keep it outside, then if I am this student who thinks that, oh, my name is already gone, I have already answered, now I don't have to worry, then again, there can be chance of, bad behavior. So think about it.
No,
Okay,
but
the second,
1 minute, I would like to add over here, because if I'm
Ah.
keeping it outside, but I'm not letting the student go, I'll tell that I will choose because I want other people also to know. But if case that student is not able to answer, the one who is outside will answer.
Good. That's
Yeah.
a nice strategy. That's a
Yeah.
good strategy.
Yeah, and they will get brownie points. No, you talk about stars because I'm in the PYP. So
Ah.
if the student is able to answer again, so maybe they will get some brownie points. So they are very competitive, the little ones.
Yeah. So yeah, you did not add that when you answered first.
Yeah.
But if you are going to do this, then I think it's an excellent idea.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now the second strategy that we are looking at is question shells. Okay. Make these statements where the students can fill in the points, fill in the blanks. Okay. And they can answer. Then you know that whether the students have understood. You can also use hand signals. Someone said, right? Thumbs up, sideways, thumbs down. So hand signals can be also used. This is a quick way to understand whether the whole class is understood or not. And of course, everybody, most of you all, those who are PYP teachers and who are using this particular technique, you can use exit passes where you write questions and then you can give those questions to the students to write, and then you will get to know whether the students have understood or not. So yeah, so the second strategy is to elicit evidence of student learning, and these are the different methods that you can use for this particular strategy. Okay, now the third strategy is to provide feedback that moves learning forward. Okay, where you provide feedback so that learning is moving forward. Now, for this particular thing, I would want to use the visual thinking routine called color, symbol, image. Okay. Think about a color or choose a color that represents the feeling effective feedback evokes in students. Okay. When you give effective feedback, how will the student feel? What will it feel? Choose a color. Create a symbol that represents the purpose of effective feedback. Okay. So a symbol that will show purpose of effective feedback, and an image, draw an image that shows how effective feedback impacts student learning. Okay. My next sheet is your task. You can draw over here on this sheet. You will need to write your name also. Otherwise, I will not know who has responded. Okay. Choose a color. I would want you to take a screenshot of this so that you know what you are doing. Okay, this particular task. Please take a screenshot of this. Okay, and you complete this particular task. You have 3 minutes to complete this.
From where we have to go, ma'am? It is not visible here.
You have to use this CZ. Go to onlinepd.com. Are you on onlinepd.com? If you are on your phone or on your laptop, go to onlinepd.com and then put this code CZT space JCO. And then you will see this on your screen and you have to work on this. Okay, Chitan has put yellow color. You'll have to tell me what symbol. Okay, someone has put green and some symbol there. And image. Over here, green one with the tree. You need to put your name there, otherwise I'll not know who's put it. Thanks, Simi.
Ma'am, mine is visible.
Yours is?
Simi.
Simi, yeah, I can see.
Yeah, okay,
I
okay.
have put orange. Yeah.
Got it.
Someone has annotated on my screen. Someone on the phone, Vivo phone, is annotating on my screen. Yeah, there's one more line. Okay.
I'm not
Hima,
able to put any image in here, like copy paste.
then you'll have to draw.
Oh,
It's a
I'm
drawing
so bad
slide.
in drawing already.
Hima, would you want to share your slide?
Ma'am, so I chose the color green because you're
Ah.
talking about effective feedback. So green is
Ah.
symbolic of growth, prosperity. And my
Ah.
symbol, I wanted to draw victory symbol. Like
Acha,
when you
okay.
get effective feedback, but I think the pen was not allowing.
Ah.
And what happens when you get effective feedback? You grow in your learning, so you get
Ah.
rooted. And I was trying to draw app blossom tree, but you blossom and you get rooted, so you have roots and wings. I meant that.
Thank you. Thank you for your response.
Thank you.
Who is this with the light bulb moment?
Me.
Can you explain? Yeah.
So I chose yellow because when I think of a teacher giving me feedback, and if it's something, when I think of feedback, I think of maybe a suggestion or something I could have done to make it closer to the answer that was probably expected, something that I was not thinking of. So the teacher gives me a different perspective, which I have not thought of. So that's like an aha moment or a light bulb moment for me. And when I think of light bulb, I'm thinking of yellow. So
Okay.
yeah,
What symbol will you use? Again, light bulb?
light bulb, that's it.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
extent of my art.
Acha. Thank you. Tina, would you want to share yours?
Yes. So green color, it's for like happiness. Whenever I see nature, I see green. It just brings happiness within me. So whenever we are giving a feedback to a child, it gives a satisfaction to a teacher and to the student that, okay, teacher reached out to the student to give out the feedback, and with a hope that yes, student will be working on it. Student also feels connected that, okay, my teacher has seen, I'm a PYP teacher. So the moment teacher makes a connect with the student on their work specifically, student feels so happy that my teacher has spoken to me today. That's a big achievement for them, especially for PYP children. So that is why green color. The symbol I have taken, I wanted to write, like show the peel the fruit, that one
Okay.
I was not able to draw. So it's like you are reaching out to the child again, and then you are trying to make them better at every stage. You are, trying to look into the child one step at a time. So that's how especially PYP children works. The image I wanted to bring in the rose analogy with the feedback, where we have success, challenge, and potential. That is the one image which I wanted to bring in here. That
Oh, okay.
you first celebrate their success, then you find out the challenge in them, and then you identify the potential to give them that feedback or feed forward in a way so that they can become better or perform better in the next time, or in
Yeah.
that particular even in that particular challenge also. That's how.
Thank you. Thank you. So color symbol image is another VTR that you can use, a visual thinking routine. Okay, so thank you for your responses. Now, what will you do? What is the strategy here for providing feedback that moves learning forward? What you can do is you can give constructive comments, okay, to your students. Specific comments on errors. Say that, okay, this is the mistake. Like even Jason had said in his presentation, just telling them that good work is not enough. Okay, you have to specify what is good about it. Suggestions to the students about how to improve, and at least one positive remark in the task that the students have done. So what I use is the ladder of feedback. Okay, I know Madhvi is also here. She uses another technique called as tag. Madhvi, would you want to say something about tag?
Yeah, it is the similar to like 2 stars and 1 wish. So tag is T stands for tell me something about it. A is ask a question and G is give a suggestion. And I
So
think Kalyani is
here-
also using the same method because she's writing in the chat.
So tag could be used as a feedback mechanism also. Okay, a technique where you can give feedback because you are saying you suggest what you can do better. Okay, so this is how you can provide feedback. You can use the ladder of feedback or you can use the tag method. Okay, so that's the tool. Now, the next point, the next strategy, okay, is activating students as resources for one another. Now, I would like to know, okay, what are the 3 ways by which students can improve learning of their peers? Okay, write it here. So I can help learning of my peers. What can I do? By which 3 ways I can help my peers to learn? And remember when, I will wait for my comments because I was just going to tell you the answer. Sorry. C3 before me. Okay. I like this technique, C3 before me. Thank you so much who has shared. Collaborative teamwork, peer feedback, think, pair, share, buddy teaching, grouping, peer learning, peer feedback, peer sharing the understanding, round robin, think, pair, share, peer tutoring. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your responses. And I think you have got some of the methods. These are 3 ways by which you can act students to be resources for one another. Okay, one thing would be peer assessment. Students can swap their homework and grade it. Okay, and like Jason said, you will have to give them some structured way and scaffolded way to teach them how to assess before you start doing it. Okay, so the training of the students, mentoring of the students how to do a peer assessment is important. Another strategy is peer tutoring. If you have learned it, help someone who hasn't. And when you do peer tutoring, it is learning twice. When I learn for myself, but when I teach someone, I learn it again. So learning twice. Okay. And the third one, how you can act as a resource for my peer is by giving them feedback. So you can use 2 stars and a wish. So you can say in that feedback form, please write down 2 things that you find very good in my task and 1 thing where you wish that you would have explained it much better. Okay, so these are the strategies that you can use for activating students as resources for one another. Okay. Then next strategy is activating students as owners of their own learning. We talk about ownership of learning, right? We talk about agency. One aspect of agency is owning, having ownership of their learning. So, what are some strategies for promoting student ownership of their learning? Okay, if you can write it here. Some strategies for promoting student ownership of their learning. Self-assessment reflection, very good. You have nailed it. Choice board. Okay, choice board, I would use it as a summative assessment. For formative assessment, for letting me understand how much has the student understood what I'm trying to teach. Okay, the strategies would be: number one, self-assessment. Okay, traffic lights or colored this. Please excuse me for my spelling error here. So what you can do is, what I do in my class is I give them, each student has 3 cards, red, yellow and green. Okay. So if I have explained them certain concepts and certain content in biology, there is a lot of content to be taught in bio. And if I give a worksheet regarding that to my students, and then I want to see whether who needs help, who can do on their own, the sheet on their own, or who doesn't need any help. Okay, so what I tell them is, if you think that you have not understood anything on that sheet, then put the red card on the table. If you don't need any help, okay, you have understood everything and you can do it on your own, put the green card on the table. And if you feel that I know something, but there are certain things that I need help with, then put the yellow card on the table. Now, as a teacher, when I see the tables, okay, with the different cards, if I see that there are a lot of red cards, then maybe I need to give more instruction or explain more in detail, okay, or use another technique to make them understand the task. Okay, but if I see that there are only 2 or 3 red cards, a few yellow cards and many green cards, then maybe I will say that, okay, yellow cards you pair up with the students who have green cards, okay, so that they will help each other. And the red cards are the students whom I need to sit with and make them understand what the task is. Okay, so this, when you give them traffic lights or colored discs, it will make the students own their learning. So they will be able to tell, okay, whether I have understood or not understood, and it will make your the strategy that you will use for the students to do the task easier. Okay. Another task, another activity that you can give is the goal setting activities. When the students set their own goals, then they are owners of their own learning. So these goal setting activities are also given to students in PYP and MYP. Whereas when you do the CAS, we do give them goal settings for CAS in the DP. But you think about what goal setting activities can you give in your subjects. Okay. Another activity or another strategy would be student-led conferences. Student-led conferences put student in the forefront of their learning. So they will explain to their parents and to their peers about what they have learned. Okay. The students can keep a learning portfolio, and you can also use peer instruction, okay, helping the students to teach each other as one of the strategies where students are owners of their own learning. Okay, so these are different strategies for this particular strategy for assessment for learning. Now, the last part, okay, we reflect on what has happened, the 5 different strategies that I have spoken about today. I go back. Okay. The first strategy was clarifying learning intentions and success criteria. Second was eliciting evidence of student learning. Third was providing feedback that moves learning forward. Fourth one was activating students as resources for one another. And the last one was activating students as owners of their own learning. These are the different strategies that Dylan William has suggested for assessment for learning. So now going to the end of this session, I'm going to use this particular VTR called Rose, Bud, Thorn. And the questions that are there in this VTR are, what resonated most with you about assessment for learning? Okay. For the bud, it is, what strategies or ideas are you excited to try out in your classroom? So I have given you so many strategies today for assessment for learning. What strategies will you use, will you try out in your classroom? And the last question for Thorn is, what challenges do you anticipate facing in implementing assessment for learning? Okay. So this is the last VTR. You will need to type your responses on this. What resonated most? Your aha moment? What strategies or ideas will you use? Are you excited to try in your classroom? And what challenges do you anticipate facing in implementing assessment for learning? When you use tag or ladder of feedback, then you are targeting one particular ATL skill of communication, give and receiving feedback. Okay, so you are explicitly teaching that particular ATL skill of communication, giving and receiving feedback. So Priya, you can talk about how Chitan has used the color, image, and symbol strategy in her class. Chitan can go and on about that strategy.
Yeah, because I like that. I had used it actually for the disaster, for great
Natural disaster.
natural disaster, and for that we had studied about hurricane. So I used that as an exit slip. So they need to think about the color which they will give, and the symbol which they will use, and what is the image, which forms in their mind when they think about hurricanes. So I had used that. And during the literary week in school, we had given that because we wanted the students to read a book and think about their favorite character. And after they think about the favorite character, what is the color they associate the character with? No? Means whether it's a negative one. So I had given an example of the three pigs and the wolf, the three little pigs. So I had chosen the wolf, and as an exemplar, I had given that for the wolf I will show red because it's danger, and for the next one, so the symbol I have used that skull with the two bones, which shows danger. Normally you use that symbol, no danger in real life also when you want to say that caution. For caution, you use that. And then for the image, I had shown about that wolf huffing and puffing. I had drawn that. So maybe they select whatever characters they like best, and then whether it's a positive or negative character doesn't mind, and then they need to give it a symbol and give the image of that particular character which comes to their mind. So then it helps in also building creativity, I think, because they are making their own image. They can take any context from the book they have read regarding that particular character, and they can draw to show it. So I had used that. So when I saw this VTR, I liked it. Color, symbol, and image.
As a science teacher, I cannot think about. I can think about only about that hurricane incident. It's great you thought about language also.
Yeah, language, because you do know, we being a homeroom teacher, we had to do the guided lesson, and we had our own group of readers depending upon their reading ability. So after we finish a book, then we need to do a follow-up activity. So then it's a good closing. Because normally you do a book review, so it is something different other than just doing a book review or doing a reflection thing. So maybe do this. Yeah.
Thanks, Chetan, for your idea. So, in conclusion to my session, the session provided you with practical strategies and tools to implement assessment for learning in your classroom. And I also used different visual thinking routines, which you can use to engage students in active learning and reflection. So, thank you. And if you want me to work together with you, this is my email ID, the techieteachermentor@gmail.com. I also run a YouTube channel, the Techie Teacher Mentor. I have written my name also in front of that. So you will see Asheka Tenzin, the Techie Teacher Mentor. I post our meeting video recordings on that particular YouTube channel. Also I also run a book club where some books, whatever we have read, I have posted some videos regarding that. So you can follow me there.